Okay, on 1-3, page 1, in the middle of the page, it says, godly behavior is the natural outcome of his continuing inward transformation of my convictions and values. For God sees not as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. And of course, what we're referring to is transformation. This is what we want, is inward transformation. And I believe this is what it's talking about down below there, under point 1 in the middle of that box, in Romans 11:36 through 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. And the principle that I think is brought out is the principle of inward transformation producing outward behavior that's pleasing to the Lord. The Lord, as the Lord transforms inwardly values and convictions, then the behavior is going to follow. That's an important concept, because conversely, if you just try to correct behavior, then what you end up with is correct behavior without the inward transformation that should have brought the correct behavior about. I think that a lot of us are aware of Christians that behave correctly, or try to behave correctly to varying degrees, but don't have the value system that should have brought about behavior that's acceptable to God. With that in mind, Frank Meitz handed me an article from the Gazette Journal from a Dr. Rosemond. John Rosemond, he's a family psychologist, and he has a column in the Gazette Journal. In particular, there's 2 paragraphs in his article that I would just like to read with what we've just thought about in Romans 12:1 and 2. And everybody's going to have to pay attention, because this is thought-provoking. In these 2 paragraphs, he starts out, children, irrespective of IQ, do not think correctly. In this regard, all too many of today's parents are trying to pull the horse with the cart. They think discipline is all about shaping proper behavior by manipulating reward and punishment. Anybody here have those thoughts? I have. They think discipline is all about shaping proper behavior by manipulating reward and punishment. That's not discipline. That's behavior modification. Heard that term before? And as I've said in previous columns, that is how one trains a rat, not a human being. Discipline is a process by which a child is taught to think properly. A child who thinks properly will behave properly. But the converse is not true. A child who only learns what behaviors are appropriate to what situation may well become nothing more than a clever manipulator. And I believe that's what's happening in the churches. People are becoming Christians, going into church environment, and they're becoming behavior manipulators. Because what has to take place is the inward transformation. This is why you have Christians that people will testify, this person is a saint when they're at church. But Monday through Saturday, you wouldn't recognize them as the same person. What's going on there? Behavior manipulation. The second paragraph, he says, therefore a child is properly disciplined, or more accurately discipled, and those are his words, by being taught right from wrong and the preferably classical reasons why right is right and wrong is wrong. Discipline, then, is about values. Proper behavior is the measure, not the object. Nonetheless, until a child's values are formed, he must be restrained from doing what he wants to do and directed to doing what he does not want to do. I thought, wow, that is so insightful.